Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we've got a really critical mission. We are going to unlearn our IPv4 muscle memory. Seriously, we're just ripping off the Band-Aid to expose the hidden security dangers of IPv6. If you've been managing networks for a while, you know you probably have a highly tuned intuition for security. But here's the catch. In an IPv6 world, those old instincts, they're actually your biggest vulnerability.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our threat map for today's agenda. We're covering the IPv4 mindset trap, the end of NAT, local network rogue devices, tunneling and VPN data leaks, bypassing firewalls with fragments, and finally, fixing those IPv6 security blind spots. Let's get into it. Section 1. The IPv4 mindset trap. Time to unlearn old habits. You see, the fundamental issue is that we network admins often treat IPv6 like it's just this bolted-on, slightly larger IPv4 address space. Actually, scratch that. It's fundamentally a completely different protocol. In our safe, familiar IPv4 world, you typically have a single address per interface, right? Something like 192.168.1.10. But with IPv6, things are wildly different and, honestly, inherently more exposed. Multiple addresses coexist simultaneously on a single interface. You've got your link local address starting with FE80, your global unicast address, and temporary privacy addresses, and they are all actively functioning at the exact same time. If you just copy-paste your old IPv4 assumptions onto this new reality, well, your firewall rules and access control lists are going to break, and they'll do it completely silently. And this right here brilliantly illustrates just how massive that shift is. You're moving from a single, predictable IPv4 mapping to a massive stack of valid IPv6 addresses all bound to the exact same device. Just think about what this does to correlation events across your security logs. It makes tracking a single host incredibly difficult, which basically renders all those old access control list strategies entirely obsolete. Moving right along, Section 2, the end of NAT. Say goodbye to obscurity. This is a massive structural shift in our networking paradigm. Take a second to internalize this quote. Every device is potentially globally routable, changing firewall design and security assumptions entirely. For decades in IPv4, we've heavily relied on network address translation, or NAT, to give us this default layer of obscurity. Devices behind a router were safely hidden. But in IPv6, NAT is practically absent. That obscurity is gone. So host-level security is no longer just a best practice, it is absolutely critical, because every single device could potentially be reached directly from the global internet. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds into local network rogue devices. We're looking inside your environment now. Because IPv6 behaves so differently locally, it uses a process called duplicate address detection, or DAD, before it even allows a host to use a unicast address. Here's how that flows. A host sends a neighbor solicitation to tentatively claim an address. If another host responds, boom, a conflict is instantly flagged and the address is marked as DAD failed, locking it out with zero connectivity. Now, think about the security implications there. A cloned virtual machine with an identical MAC address, or just some malicious rogue device on your segment, can intentionally trigger this failure. They can execute a silent local denial of service attack, leaving the address totally unusable. But man, it gets worse when we talk about rogue router advertisements, or RAs. In IPv6, router advertisements carry the default gateway. So if a misconfigured container in a Docker bridge network, or say a VM sharing a physical host network starts broadcasting rogue RAs, it can hijack your routing. And here's the absolute kicker. Unlike IPv4 DHCP leases, there is no explicit gateway renewal in IPv6. The host just relies on periodic RA refreshes. It's literally like a GPS silently recalculating your route into a really dangerous neighborhood without even telling you. If a rogue RA takes over or RAs get blocked entirely, your hosts just silently drop their default route. Fortunately, we do have an immediate, actionable solution to regain control over local network routing. The fix is to enable RA Guard on all your switch access ports. By flipping on RA Guard, you stop rogue router advertisements right at the switch level. This completely neutralizes the threat, regardless of whether it's coming from some misconfigured Docker container or a malicious actor sitting on the network. On to Section 4, tunneling and VPN data leaks. These are the real remote access dangers. Stepping outside the local network for a minute, this is easily one of the most dangerous blind spots for remote work. I really want every IT pro managing remote access to ask themselves right now, Is your VPN silently leaking your real IP address? Because honestly, if you're only explicitly securing IPv4 traffic, the answer is probably yes. Let's unpack the failure modes of dual stack environments. If your VPN isn't properly configured for IPv6, it might bypass the tunnel entirely. This is a split tunnel leak, and it completely exposes the user's real IP, bypassing all your corporate security policies. Or the client might try to block IPv6 without tunneling it, which breaks all IPv6 sites. We see this all the time with legacy IPsec clients, older Cisco AnyConnect versions, and OpenVPN configs that are missing the explicit push route for IPv6. It's the exact equivalent of putting a heavy-duty deadbolt on your front door, but leaving the back patio completely wide open. Your IPv4 traffic is locked down tight, but your IPv6 traffic is just walking right out into the open internet. No good. There are zero half measures here. Incomplete configurations simply mean compromised data. You basically have two strict options. Option A, tunnel IPv6. You must configure your VPN to explicitly route the IPv6 default route, which is /0. Or option B, you must completely, explicitly disable IPv6 on the client device. Pick one for sure, but please do not just leave it to chance. Next up, Section 5, bypassing firewalls with fragments. Let's look at some weaponized edge cases. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is we get into the super sneaky tactics. According to RFC 8021, atomic fragments are packets that contain a fragment header, but no actual fragmentation is even happening. It's exactly like mailing someone an empty envelope marked box 1 of 5 just to crash their mailroom. Attackers use this incredibly obscure protocol quirk specifically to slip right past legacy firewall defenses that just get utterly confused by the header. This all ties into a broader issue called the middle box problem. A lot of firewalls, load balancers, and WAN optimizers just don't know how to handle unknown or unexpected extension headers in IPv6. So what do? They silently drop the packets. This means totally legitimate traffic fails mysteriously, and to the end user, it just looks like a random frustrating outage. To even detect that this is happening, you literally have to run a packet capture and actively inspect the extension headers in Wireshark. Closing this loophole is absolutely vital. The fix here is straightforward. You must explicitly configure your firewalls to drop atomic fragment packets immediately. Don't even try to process them, just drop them at the edge. Done. Finally, Section 6. Fixing IPv6 security blind spots. Let's secure this infrastructure. Okay, so we need to secure our infrastructure using the correct protocol rules. Back in IPv4, many admins would just block ICMP entirely to hide from ping sweeps. But in IPv6, you absolutely must permit specific ICMPv6 types for your network to even function at all. You need type 1 for destination unreachable, type 2 for packet too big, which by the way is incredibly critical for path MTU discovery so your large file transfers don't just stall out. You need type 3 for time exceeded, and types 133 through 137, which govern your router and neighbor solicitations and advertisements. These are 100% mandatory for the neighbor discovery protocol to work. So the crucial point is this golden rule of IPv6 security. Never block ICMPv6 entirely. If you block these critical ICMPv6 types, like you did back in the IPv4 days, you're going to break neighbor discovery, you're going to break path M2 discovery, and you will break multicast membership. Your network will simply cease to function correctly. It's a massive self-inflicted wound. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to bring straight back to your engineering teams. Have you fully audited your network, or are you still unknowingly relying on IPv4 muscle memory to secure an IPv6 world? It is time to dig deeper into your own environments. Check those VPN configurations, implement RA Guard, and ensure your firewalls are actually speaking the right language. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you in the next explainer.